So good morning everyone. This is CA Kaushik Mukesh and welcome to Kaushik's Pathshala, the YouTube channel. And today we are going to start with the director's revision. PMLA and types of companies both were recorded in a single set of almost 3.5 hours. So since the volume of the file size is very big, that YouTube is not accepting. We have to break the file and have to upload both of them independently. So that's why yesterday that was not uploaded. Video was already recorded. So today it will be uploaded into the channel. And first let us start with the director's concept. So qualifications and appointment of directors, as we already know, let us step into the concept. Section number 149 to section number 172. This is the set that we are going to start. Even in this set, I am going to break this into three parts. So listen first to the concept. So section number 149 to section number 172 has three aspects into it. First one will be basics. Second one will be appointments. Third one will be exits. This basics contains the following sections. Section 149 subsection number 1 to 162, 176, section number 165, 166, 170, 171 and section number 152 subsection number 5 and section 153 to 159 DIN. Except this, everything we are going to cover now in first video. Why this is not covered here? Because I said already there is one amendment in this DIN. All amendments revision will be separate video. So therefore, except this particular one, everything we will cover. Let me first tell you what are these 149, 1 and 2. Okay. Now, section, the contents. Section is 149 subsection number 1 and 2. This will be talking about number of directors and mandatory provisions to have directors. Second one 162, only individual appointments. Batch appointments are not permitted. Exceptions are also there. 176, validity of the acts of directors. And whatever I am writing on the content side is only for our understanding. These are not the real section names. 149, 1 and 2 are subsections. That doesn't carry any name. 149 is having a name, the appointment of directors. 149 is having a company to have board of directors. 162 will be appointment to be made individually. That means the directors to be appointed individually. Appointment of a directors to be voted individual is the real name of the section. For our understanding, I am writing only individual appointment. 176 is not validity of acts of directors. Validity of acts of directors we can call it for easy understanding. But the real name is acts of the directors not to get invalidated in certain cases. Like that it will be. Okay. Next. Number 4. Section number 165. Number of directorships. Next one, section number 166 will be duties of directors. Section 170 and 171 will be register and inspection. Next one, section 152 subsection number 5 will be consent of a director. Section 153 to 159 will be the DIN concept, which is amended. So except the concept of DIN, all the others let us go into complete now. So our agenda in the first instance to cover all things from 1 to 7 except 8. 8 will be covered separately in a revision amendment session. Okay, that will be a separate video. So let us cover these first. So section number 149. Let us go back to the charts. So what 149 want to tell? Every company required to have certain number of board of directors. Okay, the first one. And this is a revision session. I'm not going to track out any kind of logics behind. Okay, because why private company 2, why public company 3, all these we will deal in a normal session. Okay, here I'm going to revise everything what you have already visited. Okay, so let us start. 149 section says the following. First thing, so total number of directors will be of two types, minimum, maximum. Appointment of directors is possible beyond 15. Yes, it is also said in the section. This is not the answer. The chart what you are seeing on the screen is not the answer. This is the contents what are contained in 149. It contains minimum, maximum, transitory provisions, women director, Indian resident director, and independent director. Independent women director is governed by second proviso. Indian resident is governed by 149.3 and independent directors 149.4 to 13. All these three we are not going to cover now. We are now reading basics. So we are going to cover this one. So see, number of directors, minimum number, maximum number, and increase beyond maximum. Capacity to become a director. Only individuals can become directors in a company. First one. Next one. Maximum and minimum number of directors. Minimum number of directors in case of a public company will be 3, private will be 2, OPC will be 1. Maximum in all cases will be 15 directors. Can I increase beyond the maximum limit? Yes, possible. After passing a special resolution, you can increase the limit beyond 15. Transitory provision. Okay, this provision is not applicable today because it was already completed. In the previous Companies Act, there is no concept of 15 directors limit. That means at the time, for example, if it is a private limited company, it can have 20 directors. Okay, this section came from 1/4/2000, 1/4/2014. This section came. That means before 1/4/2015, when this section comes into existence, private limited companies used to have more than 15 directors. Let's say a private limited company is having 18 directors on the board. 1/4/2014 suddenly came. New provision came into existence. This provision, how it gonna affect this particular company? You need not remove 3 directors all of a sudden. You have to pass a special resolution one time by increasing the limit from 15 to 18. That's all. That means the companies which are already in existence as on 1/4/2014 having more than 15 directors need not remove excess directors. They can pass a special resolution and comply with the requirements of this section. That's what's said in this particular section. And maximum directors increase beyond maximum shall not apply to 3 companies: government company, section 8 company, IFSC public companies. Very important to remember. Institute always play with the psychology of the student. It will ask questions from this section, and lastly it will ask one rider and a disclaimer. A question will be asked, A bit will be asked for 3 marks, and B bit he will ask for 1 mark. What if the company concerned is a government company? Immediately you should remember that. So therefore, I will also provide you a separate chart which will be giving you the applicability and non-applicability of various provisions of our sections. Okay, so let us start with the concept. So tell me, minimum number, only who can become the directors in a company? Only individuals. Minimum number of directors in a public 3, private 2, OPC 1, maximum in all cases 15. Can I go beyond 15? Yes. After passing which resolution? Special resolution. After passing that, you can increase the limit beyond 15. Okay, so next issue. After that, transitory provision, within 1 year you have to comply with the provisions by passing a special resolution, and this section does not apply to government companies, section 8 companies, and IFSC public companies. This section does not apply. So this is the first thing. Illustrated examples we can have, but unnecessary time waste will be there. Since this is a revision session, let us complete very fast. But to have some clarity, see here, I will make 2 to 3 cases for understanding sake. Though it is a revision session, why I am taking this effort means at least some people who cannot really understand what is the idea and logic of the section, you can see here. So the point is, public company minimum directors will be 3. Private company minimum directors is 2. What could be the logic behind the law? Why it was provided like that? Why can't 2 in both cases? Why not 3 in both cases? Just in one single line I will complete. In normal sessions we used to take 15-20 minutes to explain the background clearly, why it is like that, why numbering is 3-2. In single sentence I can tell like this. Government intention is, government does not like partnership firms because partnership firms are not having good governance. In your articles life, you might have seen private companies as well as partnership firms in your articles life. At the time you might have seen one thing. The volume of business what a partnership firm and a private company does, almost they are equal. The volume of business, private company means it will not do 100 crores business. Partnership firm does not mean it will do 10 lakhs business. If private company does 1 crore business, a partnership firm will do almost 80 to 85 lakhs business. Or sometimes partnership firm, because of no regulations attached, it can do much more good business than a private company. Who knows? So private company is a clone to a partnership entity. Okay, let's try to understand in this way. Partnership firms are hardly governed only by Partnership Act, okay, and the maximum governance is put up by tax audits. We know how tax audits are conducted in India. With due respect to all the chartered accountants in practice, we know how tax audits are conducted. Tax audit report we will sign on September 29th midnight. Okay, if possible, even on September 30th midnight. Probably if that be the last date for the filing. Okay, so how good the tax audits are being conducted in India, we all know. Whoever are watching are knowing very much better how tax audits, how beautifully tax audits we conduct every year. Okay, so try to understand the maximum governance that we are putting on a partnership firm is just in the form of a tax audit. But for a private company, Companies Act 470 sections are there, ROC is there, MCA is there, if it is a listed company, SEBI, stock exchanges, LODR, ICDR, how many regulations are governing me? Am I clear or not? That means who is better governed, companies or partnership firms? Companies. That means government really don't like partnership firms because those are not governed and regulated. MCA governs partnership firms. No, that's why you should understand government likes LLPs than partnership firms because LLPs are governed by MCA. So that's the idea behind this. Okay, now try to understand. Tell me, that means what the government intention? Government want to tell everyone, please don't start partnership firm, start a private company. If you are already a partnership firm, convert into a private company. Okay, immediately partnership firms have asked the government of India, government of India, how dare you can ask me to convert into private company, or how dare you can ask me to incorporate a private company, how dare you can ask to convert myself into a private company from partnership firm, what benefits you are going to give? That means if a private company, purchases a partnership firm, all the assets has to be purchased by a partnership firm or private company or not. We have seen in the IPCC sale of a partnership firm to a private company. Okay, that means this partnership firm has to sell all its assets at a revalued amounts to a private company or not. That means that there is a transfer of capital assets from partnership firm to a private company at the time of conversion. Transfer means automatically what will be levied? Capital gain tax. Therefore, transfer of assets at the time of conversion of a partnership firm into a private company is exempted from income tax. That's how government has shown a remedy and a ecosystem saying that you need not pay any kind of taxes for this conversion time. Okay, that means partnership firms cannot counter question the government of India asking that you will levy tax when I make a transfer. No taxes, it's not considered as a transfer. Okay, so this is what I want to convey. That means in order to provide a benefit for partnership firms to get converted into a private company, government of India said that please get converted. I will not levy any kind of tax at the time of conversion of partnership firm into a private company. This is the first issue that I want to convey. Okay, second issue. Immediately, all the partnership firms, made a question to the government of India. Second question, okay, capital gains levy is not there. Very good. If I get converted into a private company, there is another problem. MCA was shell shocked and asked, what problem do you have beyond the capital gain taxation? No. If it is a partnership firm, we need to incorporate a partnership firm. Then we have to write a deed or not. Which deed? Partnership deed we have to write. That way, to write this partnership deed, we need to go to an advocate or a lawyer or a chartered accountant or a company secretary or not. They will write a partnership deed. For this, they will take 5,000 rupees for executing this deed. But if it is a private company, we need to have one document or two documents. What are they? First one is MOA, and next one is AOA. We have to execute two documents. For this document they are taking 5,000, and for this document also they are taking 5,000. Yanna Pakshapatam. Like this, partnership firms have questioned the government of India. Government of India was shell shocked. ఎంత కక్కుర్తిగాళ్ళు మీరు, ఇంత కంజూసే. For 5,000 rupees you are asking government of India. Arey yaar, it's not 5,000. If it is a public company, they are taking even 15, 20,000. Who will pay? You will pay. They are questioning the government of India. Immediately, government of India said that. Then what is your problem? If there is only one document like in partnership form, we would be very much happy. We will be paying 5,000 to 7,000 and close the issue. If you have two documents, two times we need to make a payment. Government of India said that. If I reduce it to one document, are you happy? Very much happy. We will get converted. Therefore, government of India said that these articles I will only release in the name of table F. These are called as a table provisions in the schedules. First schedule to the Companies Act will contain table provisions. These are also called as a model articles. Which articles? Model articles. Okay, that means templated articles of association I will only give in the Companies Act. You don't cry. That means you need to execute only how many deeds? One deed. If it is a partnership firm, which deed you would have executed? Partnership deed. Here, what deed you have to execute? MOA. There, how many documents? One document. Here, how many documents? One document. Shut your mouth and convert yourself into a private company. Ante. That's all. That's what the government of India want to convey. If you have a intention to ask a question, government is also having an answer to that. So therefore, నువ్వు తమలపాకు ఒకటే తింటే దానికి సున్నం రాసి గవర్నమెంట్ తింది. ఓకే, ఇన్ తెలుగు యూ కెన్ అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్ సామెత మచ్ మోర్ బెటర్. ఓకే, నువ్వు ఒక ఆకు తింటే వాడు రెండు ఆకుల మీద సున్నం పూసుకొని తిన్నాడు గవర్నమెంట్ వాడు. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ హౌ ద గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా వాంట్ టు కన్వే ది ఇంటెన్షన్. నెక్స్ట్ ఇష్యూ. Sir, I have third question they asked. Arey yaar, how many questions do you have? So ask me. Sir, you are asking me to convert myself into a myself into a company. Yes, please convert your partnership firm into a company immediately. Okay, sir. Sir, we came to know that a company means there should be 7 members and there should be 3 directors. Okay, 3 directors means, sir, generally in a partnership firm, wife and husband will be the partners. How can we allow a third person to stand in our between? Okay, I'm telling about partnership firm. Okay, so how can we allow a third person to come and stand in between wife and husband? Generally, if you see any kind of partnership firm in India, wife and husband will be the partners. So we know that we came to know from a professional chartered accountant that company means there will be 7 members and 3 directors. How could we allow others to enter into our business? So sir, please sir, this is atrocious. Okay, so please, we will not entertain these type of entities. Government of India said that, hey, partnership firm, I'm not asking you to get converted into a public company. I'm asking you to convert into a private limited company. How many minimum partners will be there in a partnership firm? 2. Therefore, in a private company, minimum directors is also 2. That's how this 2 was defined. Just to make how the classroom discussion will be, I explained this. Don't expect all these things to be explained in a revision session. Just to have some clarity. Now everyone listening to the video will get a doubt if they are not already my students. But doubt that comes is, so then why public company 3 you didn't explain? Are a simple logic. Tell me, in any company, let's take a listed company. How many directors should be independent directors? Minimum 1/3. Okay, minimum how many? 1/3. Now answer my question clearly. Public company, why 3 directors? 3 directors will be there. Okay, 3 directors. Let's say A, B, C. Why it is like that? Why not A, B only? Wife and husband are directors. Okay, if they are two particular persons who can manipulate the affairs of a company, there should be a third person to regulate them or not. This will be the third person. How many will be there here? Totally 3. In 3, 1/3 should be independent. 1/3 means how many? 1. That one is Mr. C. That's all. That's how lawmaker will write the law. He will not sleep and write. He will be awake, senses activated, properly he will sit and write the law. There will be intentions behind everything. Okay? So therefore, a company may appoint more than 15 directors after passing a special resolution. Okay? Now, it's your turn to answer this. Let's take one illustration. In my company, there are 15 directors. In my company, how many directors are there? 15 directors are there. In my company, there are 15 directors. Okay? This company want to appoint 2 extra directors into it. How many? 2 extra directors. That means 15 directors are there. It want to add A and B. It want to add how many? A and B. Now answer my question. I have already 15 directors. I want to add A and B into my directorship. Now tell me, A will become 16th and B will become the 17th director. Now tell me, to appoint, which resolution is required? To To appoint, which resolution is required? Special resolution is required for appointment. Like this, you should not think. Huh? Like this, you should never think. Oh, sir, special resolution is required. Just now we read. Always in the class also same dispute will arise. Lawmaker words are always misinterpreted. In my company, how many directors are there? 15. I want to add how many? 2. A company may appoint more than, you can see the Bayer Act also. A company may appoint more than 15 directors after passing a special resolution, not bypassing. Do you know what is the difference between after passing and bypassing? See here. So see here now. How many directors are there already? 15. This is existing. This is proposed additional directors, not additional director, addition to be made. Proposed addition to be made is 2 directors. Now answer my question clearly. Special resolution is not required for this. Special resolution is required for this. That means special resolution is to increase the limit beyond 15, not to appoint beyond 15. I think everyone understand this. Okay, I have 15 directors. I want to add 2 directors. Okay, I want to add 2 directors. For addition, this section is applicable. How to appoint those 2? Common sense has to be applied always when you are reading the law. Let's take an example. 15 directors. I want to add 1 additional director. I want to add 1 additional director, and I want to add, for example, let's take a small shareholder director. Additional director will be appointed at the board of directors, by the board of directors, either at board meeting or being a resolution by circulation. SSD will be appointed by board of directors or even by an ordinary resolution in a general meeting. Then why you are passing a special resolution? Nonsense is going on. 15 directors want to make 17. To make 15 to 17, special resolution is required, not to appoint directors. Appointment will be through other resolutions. Respective section will deal with it. For adding to pass a special resolution. Beyond this is a revision session. Don't expect much more. So you have to have a knowledge before you listen to this. So you should not learn through revision sessions. So the main thing that I want to tell is this section concentrates on additions, or this section concentrates on appointment. Addition 15, I want to add 2. For adding, this section is applicable, not for appointment. I think everyone is clear about this. Okay, in class notes we have 6-7 illustrations on this, how questions can be asked in examination. Refer to our class notes. This is a revision session, we can't spend more time on this section only. Okay, this is the first thing. Next issue. 2 directors can be appointed by a single resolution? No. Directly no, but there is a procedure. Can 2 directors get appointed by a single resolution? Appointment of directors to be voted individually. Okay, now listen. 2 directors cannot be appointed by single resolution. Again, don't get irritated because of my repetition. I want to tell one thing. Every section will have some logic and reasoning behind. I start with the revision sessions will start with the presumption that you already know that background, and then we are listening. Okay, so let's start. So appointment of directors to be voted individually. Section 162 subsection 1. Procedure. What is the procedure that was set out in the Companies Act? Step number 1. One is a proposal resolution. Another one is a appointment resolution. What is the difference between proposal and appointment? First, make a proposal before the shareholders. Tell the shareholders that you are going to appoint 2 directors by a single resolution. That should be voted as a unanimous resolution. That means they should accept it with absolute unanimity. No vote should cast against it. After that, make appointment as per respect to ordinary resolution or a special resolution, as the case may be. Next one. Sir, 2 directors want to get appointed by single resolution. Can they directly get appointed? No. First, what we have to do? Propose that. That means tell the shareholders that you are going to appoint 2 directors by a single resolution. Put the resolution before them. They have to accept that with absolute unanimity. Okay, no vote. If I participate in voting, I should vote in favor. If I don't participate at all, no problem. 100%, 100 members present at the meeting, 70 only participated in voting, no problem. That participating 70 should vote in favor. Favor of what? Favor of proposal to appoint 2 directors by a single resolution. Okay, now you will pass ordinary resolution or special resolution later for appointment. One resolution, ordinary or special, will appoint both the directors. If you reject, both will get rejected. If you appoint, both will get appointed. Okay, beyond this, I told you. 162 subsection 2 says that any appointment made in violation of 162 will be void irrespective of objections raised. That means I didn't pass a proposal. I directly kept an appointment resolution, but no one raised an objection. Even though objections are not raised, their silence should not be taken as an advantage. Any resolution passed without passing a proposal resolution shall render the appointment void. This is the point. Next issue. Exemptions. 162 shall not apply to a private company, IFSC, wholly owned government company, and wholly owned subsidiary of a wholly owned government company. Next. 176. This will be acts done not to be invalidated in certain cases. What it is all about, let us try to understand. I will take one example. See here. Let's see this example first. On D0, irregular appointment was made under section 162. Just now we read na, under 162 section, two directors are appointed by a single resolution without passing a proposal. That means directly they made a appointment of the directors. Now answer my question clearly. This is correct appointment or valid appointment or irregular appointment? This is a irregular appointment being a void appointment. Now answer my question clearly. D0, this is a void appointment. But directors who are appointed don't know that this is a void appointment. With innocence, ignorance, and not having a knowledge of irregularity, they continued for 10 days till D10. Okay, what about the validity of the acts? This is the first one. On D10, they have a knowledge of irregularity. Even after that, these negligent directors worked for another 10 days up to D20. This is the date of actual vacation. Now, acts done between this period and this period, valid or not valid is a question. Acts done during this period are deemed to be valid, and acts done during this period shall not be deemed to be valid. In class, those who already attended the classes will know how much time we used to spend on this. In just 2 minutes, I concluded here. Main crux we need to discuss in the revision. So, shall not be deemed to be valid. We used to discuss about what do you mean by deemed to be valid meaning in the class. So if you can see the BEHR Act, the words used are no person acting as a director, no acts done by a person as a director shall be deemed to be valid is the language used in BEHR Act. We used to discuss about what do you mean by deemed to be valid for 10-15 minutes in the class, how it can be asked in exam. Revision sessions, just main crux I want to explain. Tell me now, on which date appointments were made irregularly? D0, irregular appointment made under which section? 162. They acted, immediately they vacated or they acted? They acted. No knowledge or knowledge? No knowledge. For how many days? 10 days. Action during that period, deemed to be valid. On which date they came to know? 10th date. Even after that, how many days they continued? Another 10 days. Till what? D20. The acts done till D20 will be, the acts done between D11 to D20 will be valid or not valid? Shall not be deemed to be valid. So this is the main idea behind the section. Let us understand the section content clearly. Any acts done by a person as a director shall be deemed to be valid. Acts done shall be deemed to be valid even if it is subsequently noticed that appointment is invalid by any defect, disqualification, termination. 162 is a defective appointment. Next one. Acts done after obtaining the knowledge will be valid, shall not be deemed to be valid, shall not be deemed to be valid. This is 176. Now tell me, already we learned one important thing. Minimum number of directors in a public company will be 3. Private company 2. OPC, obviously name itself is telling OPC. Name itself one person company. Panchapandavalu entamandi. And you need not get a doubt. I am only telling in the question itself Panchapandavalu. Pancha means 5. Okay. Likewise, one person company means name itself is telling there will be only one person. No logic behind. Only one person company. Okay. Now tell me, did I tell the logic behind 2, 3? Yes. But what is the logic behind 15? See here. In Companies Act, there are 15 categories of directors. First directors, right of a person, 160 director, rotation, non-rotation, additional, alternate, nominee, casual vacancy, women, Indian resident, small shareholder, proportional representative, managing director, holding director, managers, independent directors. Many people will be there. When you count all these things, there will be exactly 15 directors. Therefore, if a company is having all of these 15 kinds, the maximum amount cannot go beyond 15. That's the logic behind 15. Next. Before going into the appointments will be the next video. What I said, we will be covering the basics first. So if we go back to the see this, in this what we completed now, 149, 12 completed, 162 completed, 176 completed. Now we need to complete this important set. Okay, generally from whatever the basics we are reading, one question will come in examination for 3 to 4 marks. Okay, so let us start. See, miscellaneous concepts of directors. Okay, don't get attached to the color. Bharat Mata ki jai. So miscellaneous concepts of the directors. So what are the things that we are going to cover here? Number of directors, so number of directors, consent, duties, register, and 172 we are going to discuss about. So let us first start with the number of directorships. So number of directorships. First one, without going into the bare act text, etc., let's make a quick revision of the concept number of directorships. Total maximum limit will be 20 companies. That means one person at the same time can act as a director in how many companies at the same time? 20 companies. Deemed public company. Which private company shall be deemed to be public company for the purposes of this section? A private company which is either a holding company or a subsidiary company to any public company shall be deemed to be a public company for the purposes of this section. That means there is a private company. This private company is a subsidiary to X Limited, which is a public company. This private company is a pub, and there is a private company called as X Private Limited, which is a holding to Y Limited. This is also a deemed public company. That means if you act as a director in this private and this private, the downwards and upwards, whatever I said now, those two will also be considered as public company limit. Maximum public company shall be 10. Tell me now. Total companies in a whole 20. Public companies cannot exceed more than 10. In that public, which privates are included? Either holding or subsidiary to a private. Completed 3 points. Next one. Power of a company to put a limit. Companies cannot restrict my directorships, but a company can specifically for its company it can restrict. What it can tell, any person who want to become director in our company should not already hold more than 5 directorships. My company can provide like that. I cannot tell that no one in India should not have more than 5 directors. I cannot tell like that. How can I reduce their fundamental rights? So Article 14 of the Constitution will not allow me to do that. What I am telling is, in my company I can tell, I can restrict by saying that in my company, if anyone want to become a director, he should not already hold more than 5 directorship, such that they will concentrate more on my company. That's the simple logic. If you like, then only come into my company, or else go out. No problem. So with that intention, this was provided. And inclusions and exclusion to directorship. Alternate director is included, yes. Dormant directorship included, no, excluded. Consequence of contravention, separate penalty chart will be provided. Next one. If you hold already 20 directorships, can you take extra directorship? No. Recently, that was provided as one of the ground for disqualification of a director. 164 subsection 1 clause I says that if you are already holding a requisite number of directorships, you will be disqualified to accept a new one. Next issue. This is all about 165 section main contents. Another 165 subsection 3, 4, 5 are there. Those are transitory. You need not read now. So consent of a director. Consents will be of 2 types. Consent by director to company and filing by company to ROC. Filing consent by director to the company. What is the time before appointment? Form DAR2. Time and intimation of consent by company to ROC within 30 days of appointment in form DAR12. Now everyone answer. Director has to communicate to whom about his consent. Director has to communicate to the company before appointment or after appointment. Before appointment. Okay, next one. What is a form? TR2. Company to intimate to ROC before or after. After how many days? After within 30 days. And what is a form? DR12. And these are the exemptions given. IFSC public company, instead of 30 days, company need to intimate within 60 days. For government company, fully section was exempted. Next one. Duties of a director. There are 6 duties of a director totally. First duty will be act in accordance with Act and articles. Okay. First one. So duties are just a general section. You need not break your brains to remember everything. Just remember main words. Every director has a duty to comply with the Act and articles of association. Next one. Duty number 2. Act in good faith for the promotion of company's objects, not your personal objects. So duty to have a good faith. Next one. Exercise reasonable care and have an independent judgment. Reasonable care, skill and diligence. That means before acting, make 2 to 3 times a thinking and then do in favor of a company. Okay, and he should have an independent judgment. Don't get attached to others' decision making. Have your own independent judgment. That means whenever meetings are conducted, have your own voting, have your own resolution. That means don't raise the hand because others are raising the hand. Okay, no group dynamics. Next one, duty number 4, not to allow any conflict of interest. Company and me, if this conflict comes, you should vote in favor of company. In reality, we know what will happen, but as per the text of law, what it is telling is there should not be any conflict of interest. And you should not give any undue advantage to you or to your relatives or to your associates. For that purpose only, 185 loans to directors, 186 loan in investment, 188 related parties, 184 disclosure of interest, all these sections came. Okay, lastly, cannot assign his office. This is a very big discussion in our normal classroom, almost 15-20 minutes discussion. In a simple nutshell point, I can tell like this: if I am a director, being a director, you should not transfer your office to anyone. You should not transfer your office to anyone. That means I am Mr. K. I cannot transfer my office for 10 days to Mr. M. I cannot do like that. Okay, but one thing is possible: board can transfer your functions to others. That's called as an alternate director. Okay, that's called as what director? Alternate director. A separate director will be appointed by the board. Alternate director is not appointed by original director. If original director appoint alternate director, then it becomes prohibition of assignment of office. Being a director, you can't assign your office. In classroom, we used to spend 20 minutes on this by explaining this particular case law, Oriental Metal Pressing Private Limited versus BK Thakur. That's why I also refer alternate director in the hand notes. There I will discuss about this. So 170. Whenever a person becomes a director in a company need to file certain things with ROC, and it should also maintain a particular register for viewing by members. So what are those? Let's try to understand. Section 170. Obligation of every company to maintain a register containing such particulars within the company, and inspection is possible. And obligation to file a return. So tell me, how many obligations are there? 2 obligations. First one, maintain a register, file a return. First one. What is the obligation to maintain at register office of a company a register? What I told you, how many obligations are there? 2 obligations: register maintenance, filing a return. First, let us understand register. What register? A register should be maintained within the company which contains the personal details of the directors and KMP. What details? Personal details. What are the personal details? All these common sense details: DIN, surname, and name of father, mother, spouse, residential addresses, nationality, date of appointment, if it is a company secretary, membership number, all these things I have to give. And your shareholding details also. Which details? Shareholding details. Shareholding details in which company? Not all the companies. These companies. Our company, holding, subsidiary, associate company, and subsidiary of holding, also called as the sister concerns. You need to maintain the details of all these companies. What we have to maintain? Number of shares held, date and price of acquisition, at what price you purchase. If you sold, what is the date of disposal? What is the mode of acquisition? You got it as a sweat equity shares for consideration other than cash, or you paid as a subscription money. You have to tell that. And holding, whether you are holding physically or a demat, that you have to tell. So whether it is a freely held or you have kept it for mortgage, all these details you need to submit, and you maintain as a register. These are not required to be filed. These are required to be maintained within company. Next issue, obligation to file a return. Just now we read DAR 12 has to be added. Whenever there is an appointment or a reappointment, you have to file form DAR 12 with ROC within 30 days of any appointment taking place or any change in the above particulars. And exemptions are to these companies. And members can inspect that particular register. Okay. How members can inspect? First one, inspection and extracts. Both are two different issues. What do you mean inspection and extract? Inspection means inspecting the document. Extract means taking a copy. Possible, members may inspect during any business hour. Okay, and they can ask for extracts, and it should be provided free of cost and to be made available within 30 days. Next one, only members can inspect or any other person can inspect. Whoever attends the AGM can also inspect at the time of AGM. They can only inspect. They cannot ask for extracts. Okay. Next one, 171 subsection 2 says that member requested for a document, not other persons at the time of AGM. Member requested for inspection, member requested for a copy, company didn't provide it. You can make an application to ROC. ROC will order for immediate inspection and supply of copies. So this is all about the basics that I promised to define. So the main thing that we need to understand is 149 1 2 completed, 162 2 directors cannot be appointed, single resolution completed, 176 completed, number of directorships completed, duties completed, registers completed, consent also completed. This separately in amendments session. So now we completed the basics with regard to the directors concepts. Okay, this is the completion of our first video, and next video will be on the appointment of a directors. Okay, stay tuned to the channel. Thank you very much.